We have Pats taking on the Chargers. This was not a blowout necessarily scoreboard-wise, but it's another one that didn't feel like it was close. It felt like the Patriots, a couple mistakes here and there, but it felt like things were a lot easier for New England than for the Chargers. Like, when the Patriots wouldn't score or wouldn't capitalize on something, it felt like a mistake. When the Chargers would do anything positive, it felt like a mistake. That's where that game was at. And Drake May was really, really good. Not like made some good throws. It was more with his legs and his decision making and everything that he was doing there. And I have been stubborn in giving him all of the credit that he is due because New England. Take a break from having a good quarterback for a while. I feel like it was just all assumed that he was going to be great. And what we see in Green Bay, what can happen sometimes when all of that is happening. But you watch him out there, and he's obviously in control of everything. The gifts are spectacular, and he checks a lot of boxes. And so, like, moving forward, this is a dangerous Patriots team. I still think, like, grand scheme of things, next year is their year to be really, really dangerous. But you look at it here, like Maye was spectacular. Stevenson was really, really good in this one as well. What's going to be interesting, and the interesting chess match, I think, next week is this team likes to attack with the deep ball. The offensive line had a couple of issues here against the Chargers, but they were still able to get a couple of bigger chunk plays, and then were able to run the ball successfully with Stevenson and Henderson, but a bit of that was on the broken tackle. And as we just discussed with the Texans, they don't do that broken tackle thing. They just do the tackling part. So it's going to be a really fun chess match to see how that sort of plays out over 60 minutes out in Foxborough. But make no mistake about it, like this was a really good offensive performance against a really solid defensive team. I think Vrabel did a really good coaching job with this group all season long, and then the defense just got better as this game went on. I thought the Chargers were a little bit out over their skis with what they were doing on the offensive line in the early part of the game, but then when it came down to winning time, they dominated. Like, they really beat Justin Herbert up and this Chargers offensive line. They were really, really giving them problems. And it just, once it snowballed, there was no stopping them there. For the Chargers, like, the offense was just drowning. The offensive line, the injuries they had, it sucks. That's not great. And it throws everything off on your offense. They pointed it out on the broadcast, and I agreed. The offensive line wasn't a big problem early in the game. It was late, but it wasn't a massive problem early. And then Herbert just wasn't good enough. Again, when we're handing out the blame pie, Herbert doesn't get the biggest slice of this, but I'm done saying he deserves none of it. At some point, these guys are going to have to win games when it's not the perfect ideal circumstances for you. I understand winning in football is hard. Only one team gets the trophy and the confetti shaped like the trophy and everything there. Winning in the NFL is really, really hard. But at some point, if we're going to talk about you as a great quarterback, you're going to have to do it when it's not perfect for you, right? Like, you're going to have to do it when it's not, the offensive line issue. And yeah, that was obviously an issue, but it wasn't early on in this game. And, they're just not giving him the receivers to work with. They're just not giving him the rest. On the road, I don't know if any quarterback gets the excuses that this dude gets. And I'm one who makes them, and honestly, a lot of them are justified. He didn't have an offensive line this year. He hasn't had a lot of help at various different points. Not all of the playoff failures are his fault. But if we're going to give you the big money, if we're going to talk about you in the big money ways, in that upper echelon, you're going to have to rise above that at various points. It's unfair, yes, but that's why there's 5 human beings on earth who are included in those conversations, because you have to be special to get into that. And like Mahomes was for a bit, and this year it was too much for them to overcome. But we harp on a lot of guys who have less than this dude has had to work with, especially in the early part of that game, and they didn't do it. Like, offensive line issues, whatever. He still had Keenan Allen in an okay spot to try to get a touchdown on 4th down and missed the throw. He missed a couple of makeable throws early in this game when they needed them to get rolling, when they still weren't having all the offensive line issues that they were having, and he didn't make them. So no, it is not all Justin Herbert's fault that the Chargers aren't playing anymore. But I also don't think he did enough to make sure that they could still be. And I feel like at some point, some of that responsibility has to fall on that dude. And I am at the point where I'm kind of over it with just, oh, well, no, he's really good, trust us. Like, I know, hasn't won a playoff game his entire life, but trust me. Like, if he gets an all-pro offensive line, plus 2 to 3 Pro Bowl wide receivers, and a really good running back, then this cat's going to take off. I'm being hyperbolic to make a point, but you see where I'm coming from on this. Like, it's not, I don't think I'm being overly unfair with this kid in this particular situation.